Have you ever wondered why almost no one talks about Moses' wives? Moses is widely recognized as one of the greatest leaders in biblical history, the man chosen to free the Israelites from Egypt and receive the Ten Commandments. But what about his personal life, particularly about Zipporah, his wife, and the mysterious Cushite woman mentioned in the Bible? Why are their stories so often overlooked? The truth is, these women played pivotal roles in Moses' life. They were crucial in strengthening his mission and overcoming the challenges he faced. Zipporah, for instance, is remembered for a courageous act that literally saved Moses' life during a critical moment. The Cushite woman, mentioned in the book of Numbers, continues to spark debate among scholars due to the mystery surrounding her. In this video, we'll delve into the secrets of Moses' personal life and reveal how these women impacted his spiritual journey and leadership. We'll go beyond familiar texts to explore the cultural, spiritual, and emotional richness these stories offer. I promise the final point is so intriguing that you won't want to miss it. It provides a detail that could change your perspective on Moses' life and challenges. Before we dive in, I want you to actively participate. Think of another biblical figure you believe hasn't received the recognition they deserve. Drop your suggestion in the comments. It might inspire new content and help others dive deeper into the Word. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Here we explore the most fascinating mysteries and stories of the Bible. Get ready for a surprising journey. Let's uncover the importance of Zipporah, the woman who defied cultural and spiritual barriers, and discover the role of the mysterious Cushite wife in Moses' story. Each detail teaches us about courage, leadership, and faith. Let's begin. Zipporah was Moses' first wife, and her story begins during a pivotal moment in the life of this great biblical leader. After an act of justice that led Moses to kill an Egyptian who was mistreating a Hebrew, he had to flee Egypt to save his life. This event marked the beginning of his spiritual and personal transformation. In the desert of Midian, Moses not only found refuge but also formed an alliance that symbolized God's greater plan, his union with Zipporah. The initial scene of their meeting is powerful. At a well, a location often associated in the Bible with significant encounters, Moses witnessed Zipporah and her sisters being harassed by aggressive shepherds. Demonstrating courage and empathy, Moses intervened, protecting the women and helping them water their flocks. This act not only showcased his character but also foreshadowed his divine calling as a protector and deliverer. This encounter changed Moses' life. He was welcomed into the household of Jethro, Zipporah's father, who was a priest in Midian. This hospitality paved the way for a spiritual and cultural alliance. Interestingly, the Midianites, while culturally different, shared a common ancestry with the Israelites as descendants of Abraham through Keturah, his second wife. This detail reminds us that God often uses unlikely connections to fulfill his greater purposes. Over time, Moses and Zipporah married, marking the beginning of a new chapter in Moses' life, a chapter of preparation. 4 years while working as a shepherd, Moses found in Zipporah a faithful and courageous companion. This period in the desert was not merely an escape but a time of refinement and learning, during which God was shaping Moses for his future role as the deliverer of the Israelites. However, Zipporah's life was far from easy. Marrying someone destined for such a monumental mission brought unique challenges. She faced cultural differences, lifestyle changes, and the pressure of being the wife of a man carrying a divine calling. Despite this, Zipporah demonstrated strength and resilience, becoming an indispensable figure in Moses' emotional and spiritual support system. But who was Zipporah beyond being Moses' wife? The Bible portrays her as a woman of courage and spiritual discernment. In one of the tensest moments of Moses' life, which we will explore next, Zipporah demonstrated a profound understanding of Hebrew traditions despite coming from a different culture. Her decisive action not only saved Moses' life but also ensured the continuation of God's plan. This episode highlights an important point. God often chooses people working behind the scenes to play crucial roles in his plans. Zipporah is a testament to how emotional and spiritual support can be just as significant as the visible actions of great leaders. Now imagine being in Zipporah's position. What would it be like to stand beside someone with such an immense calling? What challenges would you be willing to face to support that person? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Your perspective might inspire others to value the role of spiritual support in their own lives. Get ready, because in the next section, we will delve into one of the most significant moments in Zipporah's story, the courageous and faithful act that not only saved Moses' life but also highlighted how essential she was to his mission. Don't miss it. Among the most intense and enigmatic episodes in the Bible is the moment when Zipporah saved Moses' life under circumstances that still intrigue scholars today. This event, recorded in Exodus 4 verses 24 to 26, serves as a clear example of how spiritual obedience and courage play vital roles in God's plan. Picture the scene. Moses had received God's command to return to Egypt and lead the Israelites to freedom. It was a monumental mission fraught with challenges. On the way, as Moses, Zipporah, and their sons traveled, something unexpected occurred. The Bible describes how the Lord met Moses and sought to kill him. At first, it seems contradictory that God, who had chosen Moses, would act in such a way. However, many scholars believe this happened because one of Moses' sons had not been circumcised, a crucial act to uphold the covenant God had established with Abraham and his descendants. In this critical moment, Zipporah stepped in. Demonstrating spiritual discernment and courage, she took a sharp stone and performed the circumcision on her son, touching Moses' feet with the foreskin. Her action appeased God's wrath, allowing Moses to continue his journey. Though difficult to understand at first, this act symbolized obedience and the renewal of God's covenant. Zipporah's bravery in this episode is extraordinary. She not only grasped the gravity of the situation but acted decisively and without hesitation. Imagine the emotional and spiritual pressure she faced at that moment. Her action was not merely an act of love for Moses and her family but a testament to her understanding of Hebrew traditions despite coming from a different culture. This episode teaches us valuable lessons. First, God demands complete faithfulness, especially from those called to great missions. Even Moses, the chosen leader of Israel, needed to fully align his life with divine precepts before assuming his mission. Second, it shows how those who stand alongside leaders, often in less visible roles, play equally crucial parts in fulfilling God's plans. Now think for a moment, how would you have reacted in such an intense situation? Zipporah teaches us that faith and courage can empower us to act even when surrounded by uncertainty. Her readiness to intervene and her immediate obedience exemplify how we should respond when God calls us to act, even in difficult circumstances. Furthermore, this event highlights the profound role of family in the lives of leaders like Moses. We often think of figures like him solely in terms of their public achievements, forgetting the impact of family ties and support behind the scenes. Zipporah was there to fill that gap, ensuring Moses was spiritually ready for his mission. Now reflect. Have you ever faced a moment when you were called to act with courage and faith, even without fully understanding the situation? Have you felt your intervention during a critical time made all the difference? Share your experiences in the comments. Your testimony could be the inspiration someone needs to trust more in God and act with determination. Get ready because in the next section we will explore how Zipporah, her children, and her family reconnected with Moses after the Exodus. You'll see how family support and Jethro's counsel shaped Moses' leadership and highlighted the importance of spiritual alliances. After the dramatic episode where Zipporah saved Moses' life, the connection between his divine mission and the role of his family became even more evident. Zipporah, along with her sons Gershom and Eleazar, played a crucial part in providing emotional and spiritual support, enabling Moses to fulfill his monumental task. The temporary separation of Zipporah and the children. During the time Moses was confronting Pharaoh to liberate the Israelites, Zipporah and the children were not always by his side. At one critical point, they returned to her father Jethro's home in Midian. This appears to have been a practical measure to protect them from the dangers of Moses' daunting mission. While the Bible provides limited details about this temporary separation, it's clear that the emotional toll must have been significant for both Moses and Zipporah. This separation highlights the delicate balance between public mission and family responsibilities. Zipporah had to create a safe environment for her children while maintaining the stability of the family, allowing Moses to focus on confronting Pharaoh. Her actions reflect emotional strength and resilience. The joyful reunion in the desert. The reunion of Moses with his family, described in Exodus 18, is one of the most emotional moments in Moses' journey. After the Israelites' liberation and the miraculous crossing of the Red Sea, Jethro brought Zipporah and the children back to Moses in the desert. This reunion was not just a moment of family joy but also a restoration of the unity needed for the next stage of their journey. Imagine the emotional impact of this reunion on Moses. After facing colossal challenges, he found comfort and renewal in the presence of his wife and children. This moment serves as a reminder that even the greatest leaders need emotional and familial support to remain steadfast in their purpose. Jethro's wisdom. In addition to reuniting the family, Jethro brought a valuable gift, his wisdom. As a priest of Midian, Jethro had both spiritual insight and practical experience, which he used to advise Moses. Observing Moses' leadership, Jethro noticed that he was overwhelmed by trying to manage every issue brought by the people. He proposed a system of delegation: appoint trustworthy leaders to handle smaller matters while Moses focused on more significant issues. This advice revolutionized Moses' leadership approach, reducing his burden and creating a collaborative leadership model that remains relevant today. It teaches us that while leaders bear significant responsibilities, seeking and implementing wise counsel is vital for success. The importance of family support. The roles of Zipporah, her sons, and Jethro illustrate that great leaders do not work in isolation. Moses' mission was only possible because of a strong foundation of family support. Zipporah's courage and strength, the children's symbolic presence, and Jethro's practical advice were all indispensable to fulfilling God's plan. Now, reflect. Have there been moments in your life when family or close supporters were crucial in overcoming challenges? Or perhaps you've played the role of a supporter for someone carrying significant responsibilities? Share your reflections in the comments. Stories like those of Zipporah and her family remind us that each of us has a unique and essential role in God's plans, whether leading, supporting, or advising. Get ready, because in the next section, we will delve into the cultural and spiritual impact of Zipporah and Moses' mysterious Cushite wife. We'll uncover how these relationships influenced Moses' mission and God's purposes. One of the most intriguing aspects of Moses' life is the mention of his second wife, described as a Cushite woman in Numbers 12. This reference has sparked discussions among scholars and Bible readers for centuries, primarily because there are few details about her identity or role in Moses' life. Alongside Zipporah, this mysterious figure sheds light on the cultural and spiritual complexities that shaped Moses' mission. Zipporah, a union of cultures. As we've seen, Zipporah was a Midianite, a descendant of Abraham through Keturah. This connection not only made her part of a lineage close to the Hebrews but also demonstrated God's plan to unite different peoples to achieve his purposes. The Midianite culture introduced Moses to new perspectives, influencing his leadership and spirituality. Jethro's counsel, for instance, is a clear example of the positive impact of these cultural connections. Zipporah exemplified how God uses people from diverse backgrounds for his work. Despite the cultural differences between her and Moses, they found unity through faith and divine purpose. This union teaches us that cultural differences are not barriers but opportunities for growth and mutual understanding. The Cushite woman, mystery and controversy. The mention of the Cushite woman in Numbers 12 adds another layer of complexity. This woman, believed by some scholars to be Moses' second wife, is described as Cushite, likely indicating that she was from the Nubian region of northern Africa. Her marriage to Moses provoked criticism, particularly from Miriam and Aaron, Moses' siblings. They questioned not only Moses' decision but also his leadership, saying, "Has the Lord spoken only through Moses? Hasn't he also spoken through us?" God's response to this rebellion was swift and severe. He confirmed Moses' authority as his chosen servant and punished Miriam with leprosy for her critical attitude. This episode underscores both the divine validation of Moses' leadership and the importance of accepting God's choices, even when they challenge human biases. Lessons of inclusion and unity. Zipporah and the Cushite woman demonstrate that God's work transcends cultural and ethnic boundaries. He chooses people from diverse backgrounds to accomplish his purposes, emphasizing inclusion and unity within his creation. Moses, with wives from different cultures, exemplifies how divine leadership transcends human prejudices and limitations. This narrative challenges us to consider our own attitudes toward cultural and social differences. Do we embrace opportunities to learn and grow from others with different perspectives? The story of Moses and his wives reminds us that God's plan is greater than human divisions. Now reflect. Have there been times in your life when cultural or social differences turned into opportunities for learning and growth? Share your experiences in the comments. Your story could inspire others to see differences as blessings rather than barriers. Get ready, because in the next section we will explore how the personal challenges Moses faced shaped his leadership and how we can apply these lessons to our own spiritual journeys. The personal challenges Moses faced were not mere complications but essential elements that shaped his journey as God's chosen leader. From his family dynamics to the cultural conflicts he encountered, each experience contributed to his spiritual and emotional growth. The weight of leadership and the role of family. Leading an entire nation toward the promised land was an immense responsibility, one Moses could not have fulfilled without the support of his family. As we've seen, Zipporah, their children, and even Jethro played crucial roles in critical moments. However, beyond their support, Moses' personal life also brought challenges that taught him to rely entirely on God. For instance, the episode where Zipporah saved Moses' life by circumcising their son demonstrates that even the greatest leaders need guidance and correction. This moment serves as a reminder that no one is above God's instructions and that humility is vital for effective leadership. Conflicts with Miriam and Aaron. The rebellion of Miriam and Aaron against Moses, fueled by his marriage to the Cushite woman, highlights another aspect of the personal challenges he faced. In addition to handling tensions within his own family, Moses had to maintain his authority as God's chosen leader. This episode teaches that leadership often involves dealing with criticism and opposition, even from those closest to us. God's response to this rebellion was both clear and powerful. He reaffirmed Moses' unique position and punished Miriam with leprosy for her critical attitude. This divine intervention not only strengthened Moses' leadership but also emphasized the need to trust God even when facing internal conflicts. Lessons for our lives. Moses' personal challenges show that leaders are not born ready. They are shaped by the experiences they face. Whether through family dynamics or cultural conflicts, Moses learned to depend on God in every circumstance. This is a lesson we can apply in our own lives. How do you handle challenges in your personal relationships? Do you view them as opportunities for spiritual growth and a deeper reliance on God? Share your reflections in the comments. Often, it's through difficulties that we become stronger and more aligned with our divine purpose. Prepare yourself, because in the next section, we'll dive into the practical lessons we can learn from the lives of Zipporah, the Cushite woman, and Moses. These lessons can transform not just your perspective but also your spiritual journey. The stories of Moses, Zipporah, and the Cushite woman are not just historical accounts but rich sources of wisdom for our spiritual and everyday lives. These individuals faced complex challenges, but each experience offers practical lessons we can apply today. 1. The value of family support. Zipporah was more than a companion to Moses, she was a pillar of support during critical moments. Whether by performing the circumcision to save Moses' life or creating a safe environment for their children while Moses confronted Pharaoh, Zipporah exemplified how essential family support is. This teaches us that even in our toughest challenges, having people who provide spiritual and emotional backing can make all the difference. 2. Unity and diversity. Moses' marriage to Zipporah, a Midianite, and his union with the Cushite woman highlight God's inclusion and unity within his plan. He uses people from different backgrounds to accomplish his purposes, showing that diversity is a strength, not a weakness. This lesson challenges us to look beyond differences and work together to achieve greater goals. 3. Humility and obedience. Despite being chosen by God, Moses had moments where he needed correction, such as in the circumcision episode performed by Zipporah. This reminds us that leadership requires humility and a willingness to listen and learn, even from those around us. Obedience to divine principles is crucial for anyone seeking to live according to God's will. 4. Overcoming criticism and conflict. Moses faced criticism within his own family but remained steadfast in his mission. God's response to Miriam and Aaron's opposition teaches us to trust our calling, even in the face of resistance. This doesn't mean ignoring criticism but learning to discern between constructive feedback and what should be entrusted to God. 5. Trusting God in difficult moments. Whether dealing with family tensions or the challenges of leading a nation, Moses always returned to his connection with God. This trust sustained him through countless trials. In our own lives, placing our faith in God gives us the strength to face challenges that might otherwise seem insurmountable. Think about the lessons you can draw from the lives of Moses and his wives. How can you apply family support, humility, and trust in God to your own journey? Perhaps you are facing challenges in your relationships or work, and these stories serve as a reminder that God is shaping you for something greater. I invite you to share in the comments, which of these lessons impacted you the most? Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to find strength and direction. Get ready, because in the conclusion we will tie all these points together and reinforce how the story of Moses and his family can transform your spiritual walk. Don't leave yet, because the end of this video will consolidate everything you've learned in a practical and inspiring way. We've reached the end of this journey through the lives of Moses and the stories of Zipporah and the Cushite woman, but the impact of these lessons is just beginning. The story of Moses is not just about leadership and miracles, it's about the importance of support, diversity, and humility in our walk with God. Moses' life teaches us that no one carries a great calling alone. Zipporah, with her courage and discernment, showed how a supporting role is just as essential as leading from the front. The Cushite woman, through her presence and the conflict it generated, reminds us that God chooses people from different backgrounds to fulfill His plans. These stories challenge us to reflect on our own lives. How are we using the opportunities God gives us to support others? Are we ready to overcome criticism and challenges with faith and perseverance? Just as Moses needed to trust God, we are also called to rely on Him, even when we don't fully understand what's happening. Now, I encourage you to think about what touched your heart the most in this video. Was it Zipporah's role as a faithful partner? Or perhaps Moses' example of facing criticism and challenges? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your words might inspire others to apply these lessons in their lives. If you know someone who needs to hear this message, share this video. Be a blessing in someone else's life. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, take this moment to subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay connected for upcoming videos. God doesn't just call leaders for great missions. He also empowers those beside them, helping them fulfill their divine purpose. Your life has a purpose, and the lessons of Moses, Zipporah, and the Cushite woman are a powerful reminder that God uses all circumstances to shape and guide us. May God bless you and your family. See you in the next video.